Okay, let's talk about the Human Alien Hybrid Project. Get in here, this is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Alright, a few days ago, Whitley Strieber appeared on the podcast with Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, Weaponized. It was a really great interview, and I recommend you check it out in its entirety. I'm just going to play a few seconds of it. I'm sure you're familiar with the Whitley Strieber story, probably the most famous UFO abductee and contactee in human history. And he's written multiple books about his original experiences and his ongoing experiences and his understanding of the phenomenon. And it began very negative if you watch this interview or are familiar with the story. But especially in this interview, he uses the R word a lot in terms of his personal violation that he experienced at the hands of the beings when he was abducted. But overall, he has a genuinely positive attitude toward the phenomenon and his interactions with the phenomenon. But the reason why he was violated was to stimulate his reproductive system so that he could produce semen, and that is what many males have experienced. Females also experienced having their genetic tissue taken. And as Whitley Strieber himself says in this interview, it appears that many millions of people are involved in this and are subjects, if you will, of the hybridization project, because that is apparently what is going on, is that the beings are creating human-alien hybrids. It appears to be a massive, massive project, and it is a fundamental reason why the beings are here. They aren't here as sightseers or as tourists. They are here doing something. And the hybridization project seems to be a huge part of that. And since many witnesses and experiencers also see human American U.S. military personnel and government officials working alongside the beings during these abductions, sometimes seemingly aboard giant UFOs, sometimes possibly other places entirely, it appears that we are helping the beings do this, and that may be why humans are flying around in UFOs, because they didn't give us this technology to use in war, because we don't seem to be using it in war. Otherwise, we wouldn't have lost Vietnam. We wouldn't have struggled so hard in Iraq. There wouldn't be situations going on with Russia that we would prefer to prevent if we were able to use this technology in war. So why are we using it? Well, it's probably to help the beings carry out their agenda in the hybridization project. At least that is my supposition. So let's talk about the hybridization project. What exactly is going on? Now, I'm going to get a few seconds of Whitley speaking. Then I'll go to a different experiencer who has a possibly a more comprehensive view of the hybridization project, even going so far as to look into the future, what to expect in the year 2050. So and then we'll see if there's time left for some additional thoughts as well, an additional experiencer. So let's see what Willie has to say. He's responding right now to the South Park episode, which is mocking him. And I'm just going to play a little segment of it.
And they did that because they thought the whole thing was bullshit and I deserved to be laughed at. That's why they did it. Not knowing that they were basically bullying the hell out of a rape victim. And I think now more and more people are realizing that, yeah, these things do happen to people, because we're talking about me right now. But what about the women who lost fetuses and eggs? There's plenty of those out there. And the other men who had semen taken from them, that happened to them too.
Well, why do you think, okay, so let's just make the assumption here that this is happening physically, tangibly. Let's just go, I'm going to start from right there. Why do you think that's being done, in your opinion? What would be the purpose of that?
I get into that in some depth in them, and also I believe in the previous book.
Yeah, but I got you right here, right now. I want to hear your opinion.
Don't worry, I'm trying to frame it here.
Sure.
No, I'm not going to just say it's in the book. Believe me, that's not why I'm here. Anyway,
Thank you.
Anyway, I think that they have to, you have to let people go where they want to go, where they need to go.
But why would these beings be doing this to human beings if it's true?
They're doing it to us. Let me give you some possibilities. One,
Okay, well,
they are making a sort of seed bank of mankind. That would follow from the fact that they've warned every abductee they've gotten a hold of practically that the planet is in peril. And if you live in New York or Toronto right now, you would definitely agree with that.
okay, well, I'll let you go and watch the full interview where he gives various possibilities for why they are doing this. Let's go to somebody who believes that she knows why they're doing this. I've covered this experiencer before. She had an out-of-body experience where she went to the moon and attended a meeting of the Galactic Federation, which seems pretty out there, I know, but some very credible people have mentioned the Galactic Federation. For example, the Brigadier General Haim Ashed of Israel, who was the security chief for Israel's space program, and a founding member of Israel's space program. A high-level guy who said that the world governments, or some of them, were working with the Galactic Federation, and there are other people that have said similar things that are in positions of power. So this lady says that she regularly interacts with beings, and she has a conscious recall of these events. She has out-of-body experiences as well as physical experiences, and she has some insight into the hybridization project. So let's see what she has to say. As always, take everything with a grain of salt, but also I would recommend taking experiencer accounts seriously, even when they're crazy, but again, with a grain of salt.
It allows us to be in full control over our biological selves and then our external reality. And this is where we're at right now. We are in the middle of this battle for freedom, for free will, and for conscious expression, which is essentially our DNA expression. So we are the, epitome of a hybrid project. But there's another hybrid project that I rarely talk about that is continuously unfolding on planet Earth and that we will see unfolding in our future. Now, we have to get to a place where we are in full disclosure before we get to this place of the next level of the hybrid project. And when I have talked about this hybrid project before, I have gotten a lot of pushback. So I'm already anticipating some pushback for this video and for talking about this next hybrid project. Okay, so phase 2 of human hybridization. We are phase 1. A lot of people think that it's really cool, express the genes, make the choice, raise your vibration, all of that great stuff. But there's actually like another level of our hybridization. And this is going to come into play with, okay, I'm just going to read my notes so I can say it in the right order. For many years, galactic organizations have been working on human hybrids in order to evolve us even further. They landed on half gray, half human hybrids, which are actually called the Essassani or the Sassani beings. And essentially this is the easiest next step due to our genetics aligning more easily than other hybrids. So there's many other hybrids. There's Pleiadian human hybrids, there's Arcturian human hybrids, there's so many other different kinds of hybrids that do exist out there, but the main hybridization that we're going into is half gray, half human hybrids. And when I say gray, I'm talking about the sometimes tall, sometimes short, gray skin, big black eyes. Now, we also have to realize that there are many, like I'm talking about hundreds, if not thousands, of gray subspecies. So the species of gray that I'm specifically talking about are the ones that are service to others. there are a lot of low vibrational greys out there. There are a lot of greys who are greedy and trying to essentially, biological warfare and like other things. But I'm talking about the good ones.
Yeah, here I just want to pop in that in the book by Ashiana Dean, The Voyagers, the Sleeping Abductees, she gives a very comprehensive overview of all of this. And she goes into other dimensions. I mean, she delves into, future stuff and alternate reality stuff and how it all is relevant to what's going on Earth today and who the Greys are, who the various subsets are, and the service to self and service to other groups, and how they came here originally as a service to self group, but the beings that are here that are helping us, that are the good guys, are the service to others group. They believe in the law of one, if you're familiar with that. And they have slowly enlightened some of the Greys, many of the Greys, into this philosophy of service to others, the law of one. We are all one. So that is according to the book by Ashiana Dean, The Voyagers. And that seems to be backed up by April, this experiencer. So let's go on. I'm not going to play this forever. I do encourage you to go check out the full thing. She gives into an overview of what to expect in 2050 with hybrids walking around among us. And she talks about a lot of other stuff. Some of it is going to be fairly woo-woo. But as Gary Nolan himself says, once you look into UFOs, the woo-woo is right around the corner. And that seems to be where a lot of this goes. And to get to the truth of this stuff, you have to look, in my mind, into the woo-woo.
Who are working with the Galactic Federation on this next hybrid project. So why, you might ask, why would we need to advance the human race even further? And the reason why is, we were never meant to stop just at where we are right now. But in order for us to advance further, we need to choose the highest vibration. We need to choose love, and we need to be expressing that those highest DNA strands. The garbage truck is right on cue. Okay, so I do want to mention that a large majority of abductions have been due to this project, along with a large majority of women who have been having either ghost pregnancies or false pregnancies.
Yeah, I recommend you watch the full video. She's got some really insightful stuff to say, depending on your woo-woo threshold. But I think it is important to hear from experiencers, especially experiencers that have conscious recall of their experiences and their minds haven't been wiped, which is, all too common, unfortunately. Now, in this video, she talks about an experiencer, this lady right here, Bridget Nielsen. And so I thought it might be instructive to go and see what Bridget Nielsen, what's her story. Bridget Nielsen is one of the few abductees who was actually chosen by otherworldly beings for giving birth to human alien children, as she claimed in her first video on YouTube in 2012. But, a few abductees is not right. This is widespread. This is a massive project involving millions and millions of people. According to the Roper poll in the 90s, conducted by John Mack, David Jacobs, and Bud Hopkins, we're looking at potentially hundreds of millions of people around the world that are involved in this and that are subjects of this hybridization project. And that's why there are so many UFO crashes. It is a tiny, tiny percentage of UFOs that crash. But there's so many of them because this project is so huge. That seems to be the case. But Nielsen is a member of the hybrid baby community, which connects alien hybrid children to their human parents. And she's on a mission to create a high-frequency cocoon based on the guidance received from the kids, the hybrid kids. Some women who are members of the community claim to have made love with aliens. Others stated that they had been abducted, but instead of physical relations, their DNA were taken, harvested, and created into hybrid kids. besides some women, were used as surrogate mothers of alien children. And it goes on, but I did want to talk about some of the experiencers and their individual stories and some of the things they are saying and experiencing. And there's so many stories out there. Mothers getting to meet their children years later, sometimes multiple hybrid children that they will get to meet over the course of their lives. And there's so many stories. It's hard to wrap your head around the reality that seems to exist. That credible researchers like David Jacobs have uncovered and reported on. And but you can't just look at the researchers. In my opinion, you have to actually look at the experiencers and what they are experiencing and what they're able to determine about the beings and their agenda. The April, the lady I just played the video of, says that by 2050, we will have had full-on disclosure and we will have hybrids walking around our streets just being part of society and accepted as part of society and openly acknowledged as not entirely human. So, that seems to push disclosure back a little bit. According to her, we may not be talking about 2027, but rather 2050. So, be patient if that's the case. That's not to say that we won't have some form of disclosure by 2027, but we'll actually have open, contact and, kind of a merging of societies, if you will, with the beings by 2050, according to April. So, we'll see how that plays out. I hope I live to see that. But yeah, I just wanted to share this with you. These accounts from experiencers, Whitley and April and Bridget, and there are so many others. Once you explore the body of lore surrounding abductions, it's vast. It's vast. And their accounts sync so well with each other that it's a reality that many people are experiencing, and it seems to be a fundamental part of why many of the beings are here, and potentially, seemingly, why we are helping them. We are assisting them in carrying out their project. So, is that a good thing? Or were we forced into doing that? Is the ultimate agenda a good thing? As April says, upgrading humanity, continuing our evolution. I can totally see a case being made for the whole thing to be a good thing. However, when you get down into the weeds of it, and Whitley's talking about being violated, and many others have as well, it gets pretty icky, and the morality of it can definitely be called into question. So let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. There's plenty of other videos for you to check out on the channel. And I will leave you with a book trailer. If you like science fiction and fantasy books, please check out the link in the description below. Here is a trailer for one of those books.